What's poppin', everybody? Back another stream, Thursday night football. We have what should be an absolute banger of a game. Commanders have Packers. Commanders Packers. Have myself going in the background there. Sorry about that. We have a beauty, boys. Commanders Packers Thursday night, and not just because I'm a Washington Commander fan. For those of you who are familiar, but if you guys are new to me, yes, I rep the commies. Um, I'm confident as all hell tonight. I think that the Packers obviously are a very, very good football team and are probably the second best team in the NFC. But if they're the second best team and Philly's the best team, tell me who's the third. It could be the Rams. It could be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But for my money, it is the Washington Commanders. And I think tonight we're going to have a great time showcasing that on Thursday night, Amazon Prime. It's going to be a hell of a football game. So as we always do, I'm getting the final promos out, letting everybody know that I am live and we are live right now. We absolutely cooked on Sunday using Pick the Odds. We actually cooked on Monday stream as well, and we're just looking to run that back for the obvious reasons, as why wouldn't we try to make the most money as possible using the amazing Pick the Odds today to finalize our handicapping for the night, find some positive expected value. I did build an NFL filter that I think needs some tweaking. Built it quickly, have not tested it yet because, of course, tonight's the first night of games, and I built it after week one. But there's a bunch of things that I played already. I also want to use the boost like we always do. So we'll find some anytime tutties, some first tutties. We'll mix up these some of these boosts. We'll also talk about some straight props as well. I wrote down everything that I liked from stream yesterday, as well as I will do that again today. But there are some things that I bet in the NFL already. If you were on stream yesterday, you saw. But I did add another game line to my straight betting card outside of some of the touchdown props, some of the more fun things. But another high limit bet. I bet the going to totals here. I bet the it's not fully widely available, but if you have enough books, as you should, I bet the under in the Bears Lions. I think that the Lions profile as a dead under team. This 112 at Rivers was able to get down at the 120 at MGM. I also think is a good price considering what it is at 46.5. 47 being a key number, but I'm all the way out on the Bears like I have been all season long. And I'm also think that the Lions offense, as we saw, if it gets a good Packers defense, this profile to me as a dead under team with Jared Goff under center. Of course, no Mr. Ben Johnson as he is gone. But yeah, so let's talk about tonight. I'm going to look at FanDuel quickly. I have some stuff that I bet already. We'll see if it's still good in market, and we'll lock it in. I bet on Tuesday the commies plus 3.5. Talked about it all day on stream yesterday. So pace to watch stream, you get some good value as we could look at PTO. But I quickly want to just see the promos for tonight on FanDuel and DraftKings. We have a 50% profit boost on FanDuel, which we cashed on Monday night with that Jordan Mason rushing leader. We also have the touchdown jackpot, which I already used, but we'll talk through that, and we can maybe get somebody else down on that as well. And on DraftKings, I know we have a no sweat. I use that as well, but we'll talk through that. And chat is always open for any questions on players or people that you guys want me to dive in a little bit deeper. But we have live TD score won't help us now. A no sweat for Thursday. We have a 30% profit boost, but I think that goes for the entire weekend. So I might want to save that for Sunday stream. So not a ton to work with there, but doesn't mean we can't find some EV here. So Commanders Packers, I bet the 3.5 a few days ago. Let's see if there are any 3.5s out there for the boys, but I think we might have moved a good amount here. Novig, though, minus 118. So under minus 120, so not ideal. But that's the best price in market. If you're 365, you could also bet it there. Novig with not a ton of liquidity. If you want a tail, I mean, you, of course, could be sitting there thinking, Eric, you're an idiot. I'm on the Packers, and it is what it is. Let the best team win. But let's go into like a whole deeper dive into this one. Let's find some first tutties. Let's find some anytime tutties. And I actually did, again, like I mentioned, bet a bunch of things so far, but we could talk through everything. So we'll start out in the touchdown market because while odds have been moving, there are some guys that I think are really worth taking a look at. We'll go right to through it in order of what we see it. I'm a big fan of Bill tonight. I know that he's obviously a very popular figure. And do we have any line movement here? We do on Krosky, Merritt, Tutty. So look at how this market has moved. We'll single out DraftKings here. Open at like a good price, got all the way down to around the plus 270 range. I think it's at plus 265. I got in at 265 actually, and now it's sitting all the way up at 200. Circa, we could see the numbers there as well. They opened even lower and got to around that 250 mark, over that 250 mark actually, but now they're sitting at around the 225, which they're currently posted at right here. From an EV perspective, it's unfortunately going to be gone because like Circa is the best price in the market. I like to devict from there. If there's any Sport Trade NY, NJ, I mean 223 there as well. So I like to deviate from those two books for touchdowns. But just from like a ball perspective, the Circuit actually just dropped from 225 to 220. This 210 for the rec betters at a DK there is a nice price. I'm a big fan of Bill. I know he only got 10 touches last week, so that's not really a huge indicator. You know, you want to bet on guys. Of course, they're going to be on the field a lot more often than that. But with that being said, I think that Bill is really their explosive kind of running backs in their backfield now. Eckler definitely more pass down work because McMerritt only got one target in that last game. So maybe not going to be a big guy in the running game. Of course, you have JD5 and you have now Deebo Samuel who can tote the rock a little bit. But from a price perspective at the, 265 that I did get it at earlier, I bet it at 260 and 265. So I doubled down when the odds moved against me. But I'm a big fan of Merritt today, and I actually used him as one of the legs in my DraftKings no sweat parlay. So EV is a little bit low there now, so maybe we'll find some more. But right down the line here, speaking of studs, JD5. So this plus 180 at MGM is actually still bettable. And again, this is not just to flex on like past posting numbers, just for transparency of what I did bet. I got JD5 at using Pick the Odds earlier today. And maybe I'll just do some multiple streams a day, plus 196. So very nice number to be sitting at here. Circa at 170. The plus 180 though at MGM still looks like a good bet. Let's find Sport Trade NJ here. I'm just curious what they're hanging it at. They're at 170. So let's make sure this market's still up. Ooh, it's not allowing me to deep link there. Anytime TD. I'll get there the old-fashioned way if I must. But Jaden Daniels plus 180 at MGM. Still some value there. Let me get MGM going here. Want to just make sure the price is available at MGM. And obviously, MGM, of course, I'm sure a couple of people here are probably limited and can't even get down. This is from stream yesterday, actually. So this is a quick digression. I think it was minus 105 yesterday, actually. But I did like Herbert overpassing yards. But let's just see if that JU number is up. PTO is always great with their feeds and whatnot. Yeah, plus 180. So definitely some EV there, considering what the circuit is, bookmaker as well, and Penny. It's the best price in market. So I'm in on JD5 touchdown, and I did parlay that with Jacory and one more leg for my boost. But there are a couple more guys that caught my eye. One being Jalen Lane. This 12-1 at MGM is definitely worth betting. Actually, at ESPN is definitely worth betting. Let's confirm its the availability. I guess there's no linking for tutties right now. Maybe a DK. Nothing. All right. Jalen Lane's a rookie. Had a catch last week, also had a drop, but he's definitely been getting some snaps. And the Packers cornerback room is not great. And you know that they're going to be targeting, Terry McLaurin big time. They're going to be, trying to stop Deebo. Of course, we have Bill and Washington, Zach Ertz, who does a lot of good stuff for them. Noah Brown as well. But for a guy who played a little, as much as he did last week, and also now considering the market, this 12-1 at ESPN for a little flyer here, probably like a 0.1 unit quarter Kelly situation, I think is probably about right. Of course, not running the numbers in front of me here, but I like Jalen Lane as a sneaky pick. Did not put him down for this parlay that I'm building that currently is JD5, Jacory, Krosky, Merritt, and one more player. But if you are using like the FanDuel anytime or the jackpot bonus and you want to hit a long shot, Jalen Lane has absolutely caught my eye. I will check the other commanders, though I have not bet them, but if there's value now, like who's to say I wouldn't love it. Now there's some good value looking like there for Zach Ertz at FanDuel. Labrokes has the best price there. I again didn't bet this, but just pulling up Ertz. Eckler will just check out of curiosity as well. 240 Circa, 245 Novig, 250 ESPN MGM. So if you can bet there, could be a good spot. But considering again the pricing at Circa Bookmaker Penny, not necessarily a great DV for Eckler. We got some defensive players there. We looked at Jalen Lane. Now we'll swap on over. I'll check Luke out of curiosity, but I'm not interested in any Luke. Best price in market there for McCaffrey is at FanDuel 27-1. Would be an ultra long shot. I don't think he recorded a catch last week. I know he wasn't really playing a ton of snaps, not like he did last year. And Jalen Lane is a guy that they brought in to maybe take over that role. McCaffrey does return some punts here and there, but that is another one. We can also look at who's the last guy. This is curiosity now as well. Of course, you can check Terry out. Best price at Novig, not that much value to Circa though, so only small liquidity. So I'd highly stay away from Terry tonight. Even though now that I say that, he's definitely going to put up a 2-piece. But I want to find John Bates because he plays so much, and he is a predominantly a blocking tight end, and he's one of the best blocking tight ends in all of football. But 25-1 seems to be for a guy who's like he's going to get 1 target or 2 targets, and Jaden Daniels loves him. They were talking about it. I was reading reports from Kingsbury how JD5 loves to target Bates, and not like in practice. And it was literally talking from the tight end coach saying that in practice, JD5 is always throwing with John Bates. He's always has this connection, loves his sure hands. We don't see that in games so frequently. But I'm not betting it tonight. Maybe I'll regret it. But the 25-1 is giving me – it's staring at me a little bit just because of he does play a lot. And, yes, it's mostly when they're running the football. But that's a good thing I'm considering. But let's flip to the Green Bay side now for some touchdowns. Again, we have locked in JD5 and Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt for some anytime TUDs tonight. So relying on the ground game. Let's look at Jacobs. Has this streak going of just scoring touchdowns left and right, but Circa hanging the best price by a wide margin. So any rec book is just not bettable compared to Circa if you're using Circa to DVIG, which I would for these markets. So they're expecting the streak to survive, but that 145, I mean, the 158 at Novig on the under to me is honestly pretty attractive. But this game has a total of 48 touchdowns are supposed to come. And I think that if they are going to score, it would be on the ground because the Commanders' secondary is better than expected. But let's look at, Romeo. He's at 240 Circa, so not a lot of value at all in the market in terms of expected value on Romeo. So we're going to stay off of Mr. Dobbs there. I didn't look at Debo while we're here. You might as well just look at everybody. Novig, the place to bet there, plus 202 on a Debo anytime tutty, which is the best price in market. So if you're looking for Debo to double up, 2 games as a commie, 2 games, that's actually a good price. And we will do first touchdowns as well as just some regular props. We are right before game time, though, so not expecting to find a ton of EV. But another guy I bet, Matthew Golden, and this 285 at DK is definitely still bettable, and I think is definitely worth it. I got in at let's see. I got in at plus 320, so I did secure some value earlier using Pick the Odds. Maybe I'll just start tweeting out when I do play something just for everyone to see. But I like this 285 at DK for Golden, the speedster, the first-round pick. I know he's not a guy that gets a ton of targets here, but I think that if Washington does try to shut down, the run game as well as, of course, Romeo and Jaden Reed, that Golden could be his first trip to the end zone with that speed that he has. But the last player I put in my parlay for the DraftKings, I used the no sweat on it, 3-legger for fun. They were all EV at the time. Is Tucker Craft. So that lay was Jaden Daniels, JCM, aka Bill, and Tucker Craft. That was plus 3,300. I'll build it out now just out of curiosity for the boys. Maybe I'll double ride here. And as I'm speaking, the line is now 3,120. So definitely some buyback on the Packers side, but I don't know if it's going to get to back to that 3.5. We'll see. So right now, a Kraft JD5 and Bill is 27-1. So definitely have got some value lost there. So maybe we can pivot and I'll bet another one with you. But I did use my no sweat earlier today on a 3-legger of JCM, Tucker Craft, and JD5. Let's all keep going through some of these touchdowns here. Who else do I want to look at? Of course, like the big boys. Jaden Reed. Best price over at BetSafe. Not sure where they're available, but from a rec perspective, no EV because we're DVing to Circa. It's plus 225. So Jaden Reed, unfortunately, not going to be a look for me from the EV perspective. Look at Emmanuel Wilson. I mean, he's a backup running back. Bookmaker best price. Good odds on Profit X and Novig. Both of them. Love to see some really good odds there for this one, but no, from a touchdown perspective, that's what I locked in. So on straight bet touchdowns, I locked in Matthew Golden, JCM, Tucker Craft, JD5, and I also love that Jalen Lane as well. But I missed Wicks. Let's take a look at Wicks because I feel like he could be a sneaky guy who actually does have some value here. Yeah, he's all the way at the bottom. There's Dontavian because he does play a lot of snaps. Jordan Love does still like him. He has a little bit of a drop issue, which is unfortunate for a guy like him. That's of course trying to make it out here. But 500 at FD, which is bookmaker 504. So it's a little bit not as EV as there could be there for Dontavian Wicks. But it could be a good look for the boost. I actually saw the PTO account tweeted that they used him for the touchdown jackpot. So for clarity, I used Tucker Craft for that touchdown jackpot. And for the no sweat, again, I did a 3-legger of Bill, JD5, and Tucker Craft. But back to the boost here. So with that no sweat, that's all we got at DK. But we do have 50% boost over on FanDuel. So we're going to try to definitely take advantage of that. We'll also look at some other player props. Again, for transparency's sake, I bet the commies plus 3.5 earlier. Have some touchdown props, but let's also look at some other markets. I want to go to this view actually, so we could see things a little bit more holistically here. We're going to go to player props. Haven't looked at any like tackle props or anything like that, but let's go through rushing yards and take a look at what JD5, Jacobs, Bill are set at. So Eckler's at 21.5. It looks like kind of across the board. We can, look at any single line possible. It's 22.5 at Penny, 24.5. That's plus 128 at FanDuel. Okay, so Eckler not expected to be a big contributor in the ground game. Did not only have like 22 yards on the ground, I think, last week. Debo is at 4.5. This was 6.5 earlier, so definitely some movement here. See if you can pull up how this went from the 4.5. Wide array of movement here. FanDuel up from like 160 down to plus 102 for the over. So something at FanDuel someone in the market, I guess I should say, not expecting the ground game for Debo. He did have that big run to be something they prioritize, which to me is a little bit odd because I think they make it a point to give Debo the rock. He had 10 targets, I think, last week, or maybe 7 targets. Or he had 7 catches and 10 targets, but good player. Bill, 39.5. JD5, expected to lead commies in rushing, 49.5. Jacobs, 78.5. I flirted with this under yesterday. I was a fan of this under. I know that they love to run the rock, and it's not like Jordan Love is going to run the rock himself. That's just not his game at all. Minus 110 here, minus 109 for under 77.5. I'm intrigued by some Josh Jacobs unders, though. What was Circa? Circa is minus 110 on 78.5. Best we're seeing was 77.5. So maybe just from a value perspective, can't get there. Let's look at some passing yards back to the QBs here. Jaden Daniels, 224.5. That seems to me to be low. I was talking about it on stream yesterday. He has that dog in him. This minus 130, that's the only one in market. At this price, it is for this view. For JD5, let's see what some of the other books have. 26.5. That's what Penny's sitting at. 27.5. That's what Bookmaker's sitting at. So the sentiment is a little bit higher around Jaden Daniels, and as you see at FanDuel, minus 112. And Jordan Love is 238.5. Or I should say, is the Commies secondary really that much worse? Or is Jordan Love really that much better of a football thrower purely than JD5 is? This is not Jordan Love slander because Jordan Love is great at football. But that has me wondering a little bit, honestly. I'm going to look at, especially if the Commies are in losing and they are forced to throw more, though. They don't do that. They run their hurry up. They have design runs for Jaden. His running line is 50 yards, right? So he's going to get 50 on the ground, give or take. 230 in the air, combined for around the 300 mark. But let's see, just from a pricing perspective. I'm pulling up on my phone here. Though they have the market. Actually, I could probably do this with PTO here. I want to look at most passing yards for the game. They should have this up. They do. Jaden's plus 102. And Jordan Love is minus 132. I don't know if that is true / if that's worth betting from like a value perspective. You could just bet their overs. I have to actually think a little bit more on that. But to me, I'm not sure that Jordan Love should have a better number. The Packers threw the ball. I know they were dominating the game. Pretty sure Jordan Love threw the ball 19 times last game. The Commies are running their no huddle. They're accumulating plays like it's nothing. Yes, the Packers have a great defensive front seven and are going to be, trying to stop the run, trying to contain. They did a great job containing Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing game. The Lions, but at this point, are you taking Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jamison Williams, and I guess throw Laporta in there over and with a random offensive coordinator over Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Bill Eckler, and Ertz? I think that is a lot closer than you would probably expect, then considering how Cliff Kingsbury runs his offense. The amount of how much better Jaden Daniels is than Jared Goff. Jaden Daniels missed a bunch of throws last week. He missed the wide open McLaurin that would have been a 70-yard touchdown. There were a couple of drops by Ertz and Jalen Lane had a drop. Ertz, I think, had 2. Deebo had 2. Might be talking myself into something here, and we can cook up another lay, even if it's not boosted, if we still do find some EV. I think this is SGP-able. Let me confirm that. I'm very intrigued by this. It is SGP-able. Honestly, I'm just putting it in a slip. I'm not saying I'm not doing anything with that information just yet. We'll see what else we find, but I'm very intrigued by that. I really am. I don't think that is priced correctly. While we're looking at a fun one like this, let's also look at rushing yards. Obviously, Jacob's going to be the chalk here. And MGM and also DK has this market. So before I lock into anything really for DK, passing props, or I should say FanDuel, so they don't have that most passing yards prop. So good job at PTO only showcasing where the odds are. That's the point of the software. And of course, they're always doing their thing. I'm out on Eckler to do this. He's just not going to get enough touches. Bill, I think, is just a bad bet at this point. It's Jacobs or bust. What's his number? It's 220 is the best price. So that does make sense there. Jordan Love, no shot in hell. Jaden Reed, no shot. No odds on Deebo, though he has a 4.5 rushing line. Again, I would not really think I'd bet that, but just out of curiosity. They're basically saying it's the chalk or it's JD5 or it's Bill. Bill had those 80-plus rushing yards on just 10 attempts, and I am curious to see how Washington's going to start slowly bringing in his how should I frame this? I'm curious how Washington is going to start ramping up his workload because it's obvious that he does deserve more work, and he should be getting more work. He doesn't look like the most explosive player. He just looks like he has some great vision and is quick and fast enough. Let's see if there's movement here. I don't know if they'll show in this market. They will. Okay, so let's isolate FanDuel. Was up at 390 at open, got all the way down, or up to, I should say, 5-1, back up to 3.8-1. Now it's sitting around that 490 mark. So don't think I'm going to be betting here, and I'm focusing on this market because Ty and I, if you were on stream Monday, we hit Jordan Mason most rushing yards in the game. That was awesome. But if this Commies run because don't forget that the Packers are without two of their starting guards, if I'm not mistaken. I know they were banged up, but maybe they actually did get let me check Underdog quickly here. See if I missed any news there. Michael Parsons to play over 50% defensive snaps Thursday. That's good to know. Aaron Banks and Zach Thomas. So they're missing a tackle, Zach Tom, with an oblique, and guard Aaron Banks, ankle groin, are both confirmed inactive for tonight. So this is intriguing to me. JD5 is always going to be intriguing to me because he's a gamer. JD5 on prime time. We have a deep link here. Let's. I want to pull up the MGM just to see how that goes, because I might be talking myself into something, and I know maybe I have some bias because I hit one of these bets on Monday. But if Bill is that guy, we're never seeing a line like this again. I know the Lions could not run for crap. They've got everything underneath. Comics have so many weapons all around, but I'm intrigued by this. JCM most rush. I'm writing it down. Rush yards plus 600. This is that's intriguing to me. Let's look receiving yards. Now, this one's going to be interesting because, like, who really would it be, right? Obviously, Terry. You'd think of Deba because of the work he's been getting. You can expect maybe like a Golden, like an Eckler low key, considering how much they allowed things underneath. But they did a great job tackling Jahmyr Gibbs. He didn't break anything. But oh, that just moved. Just got hit. What just happened there? Let's pull up the real-time odds. DK didn't move, but the 25-1, 35-1. So like Eckler, I don't know if I'm going to go like this far to bet it, but this is like honestly intriguing considering his passing down role. If he does break some things, Chris Brooks, no. Debo 360, I think is like a little too low. As in, like, I wouldn't bet it. I want it to be like closer to 4-1, where this is like maybe too good to pass up. Honestly, Jaden Reed, no. Jalen Lane, no. Josh Jacobs, no. Musgrave. Golden at 950 is intriguing because he has that speedster. So, like, if he does have his big plays, and like we know Jordan Love's gonna, try to sling it. Though I am again very bullish on the Commanders' corners. Like Marshawn is going to shut down one side of the field. Mikey Sanders still is a good player. Trey Amos, rookie, good player. Will Harris, good player. Good safeties in Quan Martin. So this is intriguing, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and say that I think it's worth betting at 9.5-1. Like, I'm going to write it down for my own, just like, don't overthink it. But this is intriguing to me from a pricing perspective on Matthew Golden. I have his touchdown. I would expect it to be on a bigger play, but I don't think the Commanders are going to allow such big plays like that. Kraft 8-1. He's going to get targets, but they're going to be like low. Like the most, again, Jordan Love threw the ball 19 times. I don't expect that to be like the norm for Jordan Love, but I don't think it's going to be like next thing you know, it's going to be throwing it 40 times. Like they don't do that. They don't do that at all. So that is interesting to me. Or it's 15-1 at Caesars. Them having the best price here is honestly a little bit interesting to me. Let's pull it up as well. Just confirm that. The best part about PTO, one-click bet integration directly to your slip. Sometimes there's some issues. We'll see here. I'm not betting this, so I'm definitely more intrigued by Golden, as well as JCM for rush yards and also JD5 for pass yards. So don't forget I have that in my slip. I'm ready to rock, debatably, with some stuff to bet there with the boost. But let's keep looking at markets here. Jordan Love and JD5 passing tutties. Best price at Circa, though FanDuel has that same price, so not going to get better there. And Circa 120, FanDuel 2 cents better, but Penny the best price on passing tutties. I have JD5 rushing. I know again that the Packers D is bad, but I know that Washington, they have so many weapons to utilize the ground game. So I'm not in love with that there. But let's keep going through some markets. We'll bet some anytime tutties. We'll finalize some of these boosts. Have a lot of stuff that I bet already, as you know. So I can always give an update on what I bet, which is Commies plus 3.5. I bet touchdowns. We've got Jalen Lane touchdown, 12-1. JD5 touchdown, Bill touchdown, Kraft touchdown, and I think I'm missing. And we parlayed Bill, JD5, and Kraft touchdown. So yeah, some good bets so far, boys. So if you guys need me to pull up those markets just so you guys can see, don't feel free to ask in chat. We'll gladly do that. But receptions, Eckler 2.5. I do like actually at Novik. That's some pretty good liquidity compared to the market. I think Eckler. See what an alt line is for him. Plus 150 at MGM. Think about what Gibbs did. They kept everything underneath, and what Gibbs have like 10 catches. Let me see. Jahmyr Gibbs last week had I'm pulling it up here, getting some ESPN going. 10 catches. Yeah, he had 10 catches last week. So if they keep everything underneath like they did last week, then Eckler is going to be their catching back. Maybe they do start using some Debo out of the backfield, but they didn't do that a ton last week. So this Eckler 4+, at 365, you have it, is showing some EV, as you can see on Pick the Odds. So Eckler 4+ cash is plus 150. I think that's absolutely worth betting for tonight's game. Best price in market. Debo 4.5. I don't know what to do with the Washington offense just yet. With Terry Debo splits, I talked about this on stream yesterday, where Terry just looked tired. For a guy who didn't play at all in preseason or in training camp because of his contract dispute, obviously not overall shocking that was the case. And again, it is kind of just is my opinion that he looked tired, but you guys can tell when somebody looks tired. So I thought that was the case. But at the same time, JD5 missed him on a ball. He was scorched the defender and was wide open. So not out on Terry or anything like that. Obviously think he's going to eventually be good, but there's no shock to me to see that he's taking a little bit to get up to speed. This Wicks 1.5 at 35 at ESPN is definitely interesting to me. Let's see if we can pull up from some markets, see some movement here. Just check FanDuel. 140 kind of came back a little bit. Zoom out more. Maybe I'm missing some context. I am. Wicks is a guy like I talked about earlier that Wicks is a guy that I talked about earlier where Love still does very much so like him, despite the drops, despite having a cast. I know they throw the ball to everybody, and Tucker Kraft is the only guy who really, gets all of the love in terms of like guaranteed routes, guaranteed targets, guaranteed playing time. But Wicks at minus 135 compared to the market, it's not much better than FanDuel, so it's not like a great price, but seeing a little bit of value to Dontavian Wicks, 2+ catches. Bill at 0.5, he had one target. Can't really target him in this market, no pun intended. Jalen Lane plus 195 for 2 catches. He had 2 targets last week, dropped one, caught one. I think if you're betting any like uncertainty on Lane, it's that 12-1 anytime tutty for Jalen Lane. He's going to get a good enough amount of reps and targets. So of course Washington is a team that spreads it around. Jacobs 1.5. Let's do some alt line shopping here. B365, it's 175, but showing negative EV. But even if you go up higher, 450 best price at 365. But I don't know how much you're going to really feature Jacobs in that passing game in that sense. Musgrave, no. Golden 2.5. Again, I think Golden's in the same world as Lane, both of course rookies. Where if you're going to bet them for doing something crazy. I think you're still in the point where it's so much uncertainty week 2 with these rookies and these offenses that move the ball to many different people and also run the ball at a very high clip as well to target them in like a more plus money market like anytime tutty or some alt receiving yard lines, most receiving yards of the game. If you want to get crazy, 6-1 in MGM that we saw earlier. Romeo 3.5, Noah Brown 1.5, Terry 4.5. This caught me on stream yesterday. The price was 127 at Profit last night when I looked at it at Profit X. Amazing exchange. Bet openly with the best price. Shout out to Gino and the Bet openly squad. 341 liquidity, which is pretty solid, honestly. Better liquidity than Sport Trade, Profit, and Novig at this price of 4.5. Again, a lot of uncertainty here and not a lot of conviction on my end for like how Washington is going to distribute their pass catchers with their routes, run, and targets. Kraft 3.5, 110. This actually looks like a good number at 265 because Kraft is the only guy I'm really kind of confident in. On Ertz, he's going to get a little bit of his due there, but from a receptions perspective, I'm interested in Eckler alternate line 3.5, 150. I think that's a really good number. I think again, Jameer gives it 10 catches last week, kept everything in front of them. Of course, JD5 is a much different quarterback than the Goff, but we know Eckler is going to be in there for a lot of passing situations, especially because JCM, Mr. Bill, while he is talented, he doesn't have the pass catching chops just yet by any means. Love going through the markets this way. We did anytime tutties. We could do another run through later if anybody wants. Attempts. Let's see what Love's attempts are because this goes back to the most. It's 31.5. So they're expecting it to kind of normalize from last week. Like I said, 19 attempts isn't going to was it 19 completions? I actually got to fact check myself there. But I feel like it was attempts. It might have actually been completions though. So if I'm spewing nonsense, then I haven't bet it yet. So I'm not going to crucify myself. No, it was 22. It was 22 attempts, 16 completions. So I was off, but my thought process was still in that same boat there. Again, don't think that they're going to come out and just try to chuck the ball. Like the Commies' pass defense is good. And I also think that they're going to be able to stop some things. We still have the boost to use on FanDuel 50%. We're finding out that out. Have some parlay stuff we want to bet as well. But just curious in this market, not a market I attack all too often. I'd like to attack it live, actually. PTO's live is great for servicing edges on these kind of markets. So maybe one day I'll do a watch along and we'll stream live during the game. But it won't be tonight because I'm a Commanders fan and I'm watching the hell out of this game, and I could not be more excited. And if I'm sounding biased, boys, call me out in chat because I think I've been pretty rational overall with my thought processes on this one. But all right. Let's build out something with the boost on FanDuel 50%. We could actually, last but not least, we're checking not anytime tutties, first tutties because I want to lock those in regardless. Maybe we do use the boost on that. But yeah, let's go back to Commanders Packers. I can also do a look at the rest of the board if we do have some time closer to the end. But I'm hopping off at 8:10 sharp, boys. This is feels like Christmas to me. Commies on Thursday night in a must-win. Showdown of two NFC studs. Let's get first tutty up here, and let's find some bangers. We'll bet one on each side for the camaraderie here. Eckler best price at circa, so I'm not interested. Ben Sims, I'm not sure who that is honestly. Ben Sinnott, like. If I had Hard Rock, I would throw a little something because actually no, I'm thinking about John Bates. No, not for me. If he's the one who scores first, hallelujah. And we can also talk the jackpot bonus. I did use it on Kraft, but I'm a little bit regretting my decision. I think Wicks is a good call out. I know PTO themselves tweeted that because I saw some EV earlier. I bet this like much earlier in the day, so maybe I missed some value. But if the PTO social team is pulling out a bet, it's sharp as hell. Jalen Lane could be on the list, but let's keep scrolling here. Debo 14-1 at ESPN, showing some good value to the market. Not the best to circa overall. Wicks first tutty 25-1 at circa. MGM with the same pricing there, but maybe not. Bill 14-1 at FanDuel, 11-1 at circa. Bill is on the short list here for the Commanders. JD5 11-1 at both spots, better price than circa. So I'm taking one from each team just for the sake of it. Though if there is EV to multiple spots, it wouldn't be a bad thing to take both, but it would suck to miss them all. Jaden Reed a little bit to circa, but not much to FanDuel and circa as well. Jalen Lane 8-1, 80-1, excuse me, at MGM. Now that's intriguing for a long shot. McNichols and Bates 125-1. Okay, now this to me is crazy. What was Sinnott? Okay, 150-1. But Bates at 125-1, considering how much more he plays. This to me is absolutely worth a cup of coffee. I was reading today, and again, this is something that I looked at and I liked as well. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I was reading today an interview in the Washington. I think no, it was on the Athletic. It was it's Nikki. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I'm not going to try to, but she has been a Washington reporter for a minute. Did an article on Bates and his blocking and how impactful it is to this team. If you guys are all 22 people, or you guys are ball knowers, you know that John Bates is the best blocking tight end in the league. That does not translate to targets or catches like that. I'll honestly, I'll pull up some of his statistics here of how many catches he even had all of last year, which was just beyond low. But the point I'm trying to make is the tight end coach talked about how JD5 loves throwing it to him. He had no targets last game, but he did play a good amount of snaps. And let's go back to last year. I think he did have a touchdown last year. For somebody who is on the field as often as he is on the field, I could see Kingsbury, using the misdirection in the red zone, having all the eyes go to Bill and Debo going left. You have John Bates, who is blocking his ass off, leaking out for a catch here. He had no tutties last year, actually. So it wasn't last year we had a tutty. I know he had a touchdown. I guess it was 23. Did he have a tutty in 23? He did not. So again, maybe I was looking at rushing, actually. So maybe there was one. Maybe I'm lying to myself. No tutties for Bates. So all right, maybe I'm getting myself a little too excited here. He had one in 22. I was going to say, I've watched Commanders games and I've seen John Bates pop up in the end zone. He had also one in 21. For somebody who's on the field as much as he's on the field still, I think 125-1 is a little bit ridiculous. For, again, a $2 wager or something fun like that. Jordan Love, not in love with. Josh Jacobs at 4-1. You couldn't pay me to bet that for Jacobs because I think he actually doesn't score. I like the value on his under. Romeo, best price at Circa. Terry, best price at Circa. Kraft, best price at Circa. Best price at ESPN, actually, for Zach Ertz, who scored the first tutty last week, for whatever that is worth. But let's lock in here. I think it's a pretty two easy clicks for me. I think it's a Bill, and I think it is a bill, a dollar bill, and I think it is a yeah, absolutely. I'll go through the filters in a hot sec. Appreciate the question, brother. What I'm using now is the odd screen, so these aren't my EV filters, but I can walk through the filters. Also, I can do this for you when we get there. I could copy my filters and paste them. I started building a new NFL one, but this is the filters just for the odd screen. We're not in the EV screen, but I'll gladly take a look at my filters for you. Absolutely. Lost my train of thought. I'm betting one of each, but I do think there's worth sprinkles on some other guys. I think that it is a Bill, and I think Bill is worth it for a straight bet and for first touchdown. I think it is still worth a dollar bill, literally, for Bates at 125-1, as well as who was it? As well as Jalen Lane at an 80-1. I think that those are just like literally worth $2 or whatever that equates to in your gambling world, but like nothing like serious. But for the Packers, so I'm pulling them up both and locking them in at the same time. Bill 14-1 and a Packer. Can bet them at different books, of course. So I'm not dying, but I do want to bet a Packer. Golden 17-1 here is intriguing. I don't have Hard Rock, but I'm going to double down on Golden. I have them anytime. I'm betting Bill first tutty locked in. And I'm also going to be betting on Matthew Golden first touchdown. I think that this could be a game where he breaks out. I think if anything that's going to confuse Washington or like get to Washington, it's going to be the speed of Golden as a burner. Again, both the teams are such good teams at distributing like where the rock goes and who's getting it. But at 17-1, market price just moved down. Better price than Circa. Quick look, though, one more time at Dontavian Wicks to see how that one moved. 22-1, 25-20 MGM. Same price as Circa. So we're gonna continue with the price shopping here. Matthew Golden as well. So Bill, Matthew Golden, first tutties. Those are the first touchdowns for the day. I still want to finalize this 50% boost on FanDuel. Then I'll do a quick run through of the EV calcs. Absolutely. But I have these picks. Let me just make sure I get them in here for the boys. Beautiful. Those are guys I have straight as well, so I feel good on the double down, not like mixing it up too much there. And last but not least, we're going back to FanDuel because I want to build out this 50% boost or find something that's more worthwhile. Could be used that on that first tutty, but I think we could get some good value on a little bit of a lay there. So the first leg that I'm definitely adding here is JD5, most passing yards of the game. I expect him to. I don't think Washington's secondary is as bad as they're kind of saying that it might be. I think that's cap. Honestly, I do. And some other props. So let's go back because we were talking about some guys we like. Rushing yards, I kind of like Jacobs under. Let's see what it's at FanDuel. It says 77.5. It is minus 112. We're getting a boost here. I'm fading Jacobs, honestly. I think that Commanders' run defense is a lot better than kind of anticipated there. So adding that as a leg. Receptions. We were looking at Eckler on an alt line here, 3.5 plus 128. We're going to get value with the boost. So we already talked through all of these if you guys just hopped in. So player alt receptions. Let's see what 4.5 is though. FanDuel 240. It's just not going to be better than average even with the boost. So 3.5 it is. Eckler alt receptions plus 4 plus. That's a 3-legger right there with the boost. That's an 895, but there are some other things that we liked. So we'll find one more and get this bad boy to 10-1 for a fun Thursday night sweat. We have a bunch of anytime tutties: Bill, JD5, Tucker Kraft, Jalen Lane. We have some first tutties, Bill and Golden, and we also have Golden anytime. Commies plus 3.5. So we have a lot of good stuff here. Let's see, what was I looking for? Pass receiving yards here. Receiving yards, I think it could just be Kraft because they target Kraft so often. And the line is low. What is it at FanDuel? Is it 41? Yep, minus 112. What's 30? I should do 34.5. Well, they're not even offering it. What's 30.5? I'm clicking Terry. Whoops. 25 plus is minus 340 at FanDuel. Okay, so never mind. 30 plus is 235 on FanDuel, so it's not going to be worth it there. Josh Jacobs, 14.5 receiving yards. Bill, 2.5. Eckler, we have his reception, so we're staying away. Let's look at some field goal props, maybe. We do have potentially a new holder in Washington. If Tress Way doesn't play or he leaves early, then they're going to have their new holder come in, which is never, fun for anything like this. I don't have any thoughts on the field goal props there. Passing tutties. Jordan Love is 2.5, is minus 110. JD5 under is juiced over at FD, so maybe not going to find enough EV there. We could obviously add a touchdown, but again, this is like, I hate saying this, but like it is like true in the sense we are going for like the safest, quote unquote. But we didn't even look at most receptions yard. Let's see if it is at FanDuel for most receptions. What book has this? Nobody's offering this today. Okay. The PTO still has the option, of course, in case a book is showing. Because even if one book has the odds, PTO is going to showcase those odds to you. So we need one more. Let's see the markets that we have at FanDuel. We have, I could just go Kami's money line as a homer, but I'm not going to do that for the boys. We're going to find one more prop to maximize with here. I'm not betting Josh Jacobs. Thinking from like a matchup perspective, we already have Golden. So this lay, we have Eckler 4 plus receiving yards, JD5 most passing yards of the game, Jacobs under 77.5 rushing yards. We can't parlay rush attempts or rush yards, unfortunately. Let's go back to rush yards and let's just go back to receiving yards. This is the toughest part right here, is this vaunted fourth leg that's going to obviously be the one that sells because we're a little bit forcing here, but with the boost, I'm all for it. Jacobs 14.5, minus 104. What is that at circa? $16.5. Okay, so from a market perspective there, Jacobs to catch the ball actually, but that's going to be kind of kill us with some correlation here. Um, his 2 catches minus 186. That brings us to over 10-1. Josh Jacobs over 1.5 total receptions, under 77.5 receiving yards, rushing yards. Eckler 4+ receptions, JD 5 most passing yards. I'm locking that in. 1578 plus 1578. I'm in, boys. I'm absolutely in. I'm absolutely in. Plus 1578. And that is all the boosts that the books are giving us tonight, or at least the most recreational ones. But JD5, Jacobs, Eckler, I'm all for it. All right, so let's do like an EV run through just to see if there's anything we missed. We can talk some other games quickly, but that's kind of it for this one. Like we have a bunch of plays. This isn't always the case for a Thursday night, like on or a prime time, I should say. Like Monday, had some props, but didn't have any game line stuff. But I'll go through my filters here. I have, again, a test that I use kind of holistically for all sports that like you can customize within sports. But the thing I want to do with PTO that I started doing is like customizing my own, just like per market, just because I feel like sometimes now with so much sports going on or so many different sports going on, this says TDs, but it's actually all NFL props. But I'll walk through kind of my thought process on these, and I'll also drop the filter in chat. So this is a new one that I have 4 different bet types for. I got you, Smirk, right now. That's going to go out to YouTube and to Twitch. If you guys are watching on Twitch or YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. That'd be awesome. And the follow button, and also follow on X if you're watching. I could share filters with PTO, which is great. But this is the overall sportsbook distribution for my new filter. I have Kalshi, Penny, Circa, and Bookmaker as my main distributors. EV controls. I did $30 just again for the ease of stream, amount to win. You can up that for the boys. Worst case devigging, I always like to do worst, just so we get the least confident, aka like we're not being overconfident. We're doing the worst case of all the scenarios, which I think is good practice. I do it often for everything, honestly, every tool I'm using or market. But to the main DVIG. So sports books, I'm keeping it to the books for stream that I know I can get down on, or the most people can get down on. Of course, if you have all of these books or access to any of these books, you should have them all showing up. But for stream purposes, that'd be OL. But keeping it to the most widely available for the boys. And bet types. So now these are some of the filters. Is limits the only thing stopping people on exchanges sacrificing a better price to post to exchanges? I think there's a number of things, honestly. I don't know 400% fact, and I'm not like an expert. I know that Novig, for example, has a great new pod talking about it. They have a lot of content around it, but I am actually writing a newsletter about my thoughts on some exchange stuff in prediction markets. I don't know if it's limits because those exchanges will never limit you, but I think it's possible that like they're just taking their liquidity to like the biggest places. Like for example, I think a trader, if they could get a better price, more liquidity, more order filled at Kalshi than at a different prediction market, why would they try to like strain themselves to get liquidity at a different market when they can get it elsewhere? Or why would they put up liquidity in a different market and hope it gets filled when it's going to get filled a lot quicker on a different exchange? Oh yes. This is yes, 100% Smirk. If that's the rephrase of that question, absolutely, it's limits. Why similar sentiment there, and I wrote about this actually in the newsletter coming out tomorrow. It's that simple. Yes, like if you're getting limited on 365, you cannot bet there, but you'll never get limited on an exchange, and you get a better price and you get more money down. It is actually, to me, that aspect is that simple. Yes, that's why people are betting on exchanges. If you need promo codes for Kalshi, Novig, or Profit X, you get the purchase bonuses. Promo code BetSmart for any of those. Absolutely recommend having them in your feed. But for rushing yards, so for all props in the NFL, touchdowns, rushing yards, receiving yards, receptions, passing yards, I have the same filters. I have not changed them. So I'm only going to go through this like one time. I have Sport Trade New Jersey as one of my biggest weights. I have Penny. I honestly think I can drop Penny a little bit. I don't know how if they're that sharp in these markets. I have Circa as well at 1. I have Kalshi because again, when they start releasing their props, they don't have props I think just yet, but I know they're on the horizon. If they are not there yet, I think they are maybe there. I have No Big and Profit because as exchanges, like yes, it's peer to peer and their prices are better, but a lot of times the market makers are going to be sharper guys with putting more liquidity down. And I have Kalshi because again, when they come up, that'll be there. So this is my distribution for all of my NFL player props right now. EV controls, I'll raise this up. I was just playing around with it, so didn't actually put in my bankroll there, but you can change it to Kelly, put your bankroll in, and set your Kelly to quarter Kelly, half Kelly, eighth Kelly, however you want to go about it. Though in these markets, probably Kelly's the move, honestly. So I'll do QK up the bankroll. I try to keep things simple for stream, and I made this like quickly. I was more concerned about the distribution and just to see what the results were. Always do a minimum width of 2 for me personally, at least just because I want to be digging to the most possible scenarios. Sort page, that's all totally up to you. Leagues, this is all football props, so that'll be coming up. This again, also totally up to you. Liquidity, I did $30 because I had it kind of constant, but I'll put it at 50. Minimum ROI of 0.25, just because I want to, see a 0.25. You could set your odds threshold to like not see anything over, under minus 150 or over plus 500. That's also entirely up to you. But the real formula creator here for all my NFL props are up here. I think FanDuel is actually sharp. I have not put a FanDuel weight on this just yet because I still have found that, again, especially more so for touchdowns, that the better books still are going to be Circa and Sport Trade New Jersey. So maybe I don't have them for there. So I'll actually go to my touchdowns because I know I have Sport Trade NJ there. Maybe actually it's an oversight on my part. I should have Sport Trade NJ because I think that they're definitely sharper. I probably should add some FanDuel. That's a good call out. But oh no, I do have Sport Trade New Jersey. But honestly, maybe I should. I don't know how the liquidity works. I should probably add a little bit of like Colorado and Arizona as some bigger states that they have in sports betting. But Sport Trade NJ, I think, is a very, very sharp for a lot of prop markets, especially live. Keep in mind this all goes for live as well. Sport Trade is big for me. I could add some FanDuel. I'm still testing. Again, I made this on Tuesday. So I haven't seen this through an NFL Sunday with results. So the weights that I have for that I have more testing on that I used all summer is my test that I played through a bunch of times. But again, I find, and this is just like a preference, that I got a little bit I don't know if distract is the right word, but basically like having everything in one view. NFL, well, I mean, this is for Sunday, an alternate over. That's some big value on both of these at FanDuel. I just found that, like, for me, if I have MLB, WNBA, live tennis, college football, everything all in the same view, that it just got a little bit crazy for me. But I do still trust in my weights here, though I am trying to build out this one a little bit more. And maybe you are right, Smirk, where I should be adding some more FD to them, and I'm gladly will add them if I'm wrong there. But yeah, Sport Trade to me is a massive one, and of course Circa, even for props now, especially touchdowns. But we can look more at the board here, see something that is definitely just user error. I probably missed on receptions to type in 2, and this is a good problem to have, where you have to be as meticulous as possible because you're devigging everything on its own. And yeah, see, I have minimum width of 1 because I forgot to click that button there. That's entirely on me. That's user error, not a PTO error. Hit the play button, get it going again. But yeah, now we'll probably see fewer because we're devigging to 2 things. I'm pausing just because I love when things move right now when I'm trying to stream. But we're seeing some value. This is right what we're seeing for Sunday, like a 13% on Kincaid, over 3.5 racks devigged to Sport Trade, Novig, and Profit, plus 160 with a market average of plus 110. So PTO's bet tracking still in beta. The best way to test is to just either bet them at very low numbers or just like track them manually and see how they do. Bet tracking is when it comes out, I know what the team has in store. They have like a, like you would think you all just track your bets on the app. And like I thought they were going that direction, but they're going in like an entirely different direction that's going to be so much more beneficial to the user. So it's the best way is to track your is to bet or manually track CLV and results. Unless anybody has a better way, please feel free to let me know, because if I'm the schmuck who's just betting and tracking or tracking manually, then please let me know. But PTO's bet tracking still is not ready, but it's going to be sick. I know what they have cooking up. Don't know if I'm allowed to say exactly, so I'm gonna keep that under wraps, but trust the process there. But we're seeing some good EV on some reception props now. A lot of it's at B365, which is of course not the sharpest book, and it's good if you still have an account. Oh, here we have a touchdown. Devon Achan giving to Profit and Novig here. Low liquidity, but even money, 3.5%. I feel you, bro. I feel you. Again, Pickett is still great for it. Because if you're a Pickett Pro user, I should say, they messed around with their tiers, their pricing tiers, which I think was actually fair. I think they did a good job of what they're trying to do there. But the fact that they did paywall certain things is probably going to turn off the casual user. But I think that their goal is to have more power users / like, if you know the value of Pickett, or you really look your best tracked in that fashion, like it is worth it. And absolutely, that's something that I know. I actually gave that feedback to the team in my review, and when I actually spoke to them, and they're all for it. It's just it's easier said than done. Like they want that, but there are some more intricacies there. Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of value to the receptions, and again, I have not tested Lawrence rush yards though. Again, I messed up something. I messed up something here with how I was writing. And Juice is good too. Yeah, Juice is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Big fan. They're free as well. And like love how they're doing their tracking now with verified only can, have things up for purchase. You can see results transparent. Anything that pushes for transparency to the fullest extent. I absolutely have tons of respect for. Juice is a great option as well. But this, by the way, though, obviously this number's off. I messed up my calc somewhere there. I probably changed it kept it at flat betting. But this 110 from my projection perspective, I think that this is a good bet. I actually bet Lawrence at 13.5, thinking it would move. So maybe I just made a bad bet, but I like this play a lot for Sunday. I'll find the exact odds I bet it at. I know I wrote it down somewhere. I have my bet slip here. Yeah, I bet it on stream yesterday. It was over 13.5 at minus 110. So lost out on a yard, lost out on some value, but I think this is still good from my thoughts on what Lawrence can do on Sunday. I have Hunter Henry, but again, I want to see some more FanDuel showing EV on this over here, which I don't love because we have the under, but I have one more yard as well, but I'm sticking to it. Normal streaming times: Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Friday, I have to commit to a stronger schedule because things just pop up. I wanted to do noon on Fridays, but if work just gets busy, I do it 3 or 4. But I always am streaming Friday and Sunday, 10:30 a.m. until around 12:30. 2-hour stream Sunday. So I should probably do a better job of keeping the schedule on Twitch. I know you're on Twitch, which I appreciate. But Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, always 7 p.m. Eastern. Friday, TBD. Sunday, always 10:30 Eastern. So might also throw in a Tuesday or a Saturday in there because I want to be streaming all the time. But yes, sir, those are I'm going for. We have some lower liquidity. I shouldn't say liquidity, some lower ROI there, unfortunately. So this is, again, a completely new filter here. And I'll also share with you, Smirk, because this one has done really well for me. But again, I just a preference that it's getting a little bit too clogged for my liking seeing all the stuff, especially when games go live. Like I would like to, it's great in one hand to have everything in one view. But I don't mind personally clicking through two different views to look at two different markets to keep my like sanity there. Um, Main markets, yeah, typical. I'm not reinventing the wheel on main markets. I do think it's worth adding in some Kalshi because it is interesting to know what their price is as well. I also think it is worth adding in some Novik and Profit when there are big liquidity on high limit games as well to see kind of what those exchanges that are taking some good stuff on have. But for main markets, the high limits type of stuff, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm keeping it to circa. Beat bookmaker penny, BOL like you mentioned there. A little bit more weight to penny and circa on main markets, especially if it's like tennis, like that's like all penny, and that's like not reinventing anything. If you have any suggestions, brother, please feel free to let me know. I'm all ears. But yeah, currently keeping it pretty cut and dry on main markets. Let's see if there's any last minute movement here on this one. I'm gonna go for like 10 more minutes because, like I said, today is a holiday for me. My boys on prime time. I also love the Prime Vision cast. I don't know if you guys have ever dabbled with it on Amazon Prime, but I think it's the best way to watch football. Like with not even a debate. Like I would watch every game that way if possible. Recommend giving that a shot tonight. Just see if anything's been moving. This has been sitting 48, so I don't know if there's any last minute bombs coming in. Good 48 and a half. What am I doing? Circuit 48. Of course, a key number. But just curious on the market here. Looks like it's been pretty consistent sitting there. FanDuel at 47 and a half over minus 120. What's their 48 too? Nothing at 48. What's their baseline at? Is it 48 and a half? It is. Okay, so market's still going over. And let's go back to the spread here because I saw some good stuff for my CLV, which means, you know, 3.5 is back. Okay. I didn't know if we were going to get back there. Trying to test college football openers that drop on Sunday, the penny bookmaker. Keep me posted, brother. Keep me posted, please. I should bet some more CFB. I do bet it sporadically throughout the week. I have been, again, keeping it to penny circa, even for college. But I'm really curious on the openers, right? Because it's obviously so different talking about what I'm seeing EV on a college game using PTO today versus on Sunday once those things go up. And I actually saw a bunch of tweets from some big CFB bettors like I know Corby. He's had a better odds. He's an awesome dude and sharp ass bettor. He was talking about how the openers, like you have to bet those CFB openers now because they're moving like wildfire. So I'm very curious to hear those results. So please let me know. You know, he was mentioning how like that's been like a very big thing for him. Smart brother, enjoy your Thursday night. Have a great, profitable TNF, and I'll see you on another stream. Appreciate you, brother. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's the name of the game, which is why I'm assuming you're intrigued. / I know Corby's intrigued. / I'm sure the rest of the market is intrigued. That's you know you're doing the thing. You get the CLV. You did your job as a gambler. Whatever happens on the field is totally attributed to randomness, and you can model out everything. You can do whatever you got to do. You can get the best prices, and you can still sit there and watch a ticket light on fire. Unfortunately, PTO has a default, but the whole point of PTO is to build your own filters. This stream one I never use. I probably should just delete it. Let's see if I can. Made one on stream that I just like wasn't confident in, as you can tell, like nothing there. I get rid of you. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. New EV is also something I made on stream. That's not something I use. I've been using test since I've been using renditions of test. I've been fixing this or working through this since at this point in the beginning of June. So I do love this one. I think I did a good job here. I know I did a good job because I'm seeing the results. But again, So much to see. I want to make another one just for like college football, NFL game lines, NFL props. Then when NBA comes, NBA. Keep going MLB. I'll probably make an MLB one as well because I will definitely be betting MLB through the whole thing. Though I've been slacking on my MLB game, unfortunately. Just so busy, and football just is king and taking over my life here. I also can't bet CFB props where I'm at though, so I don't want to see those. But see, we're seeing some value here because I'm digging into FanDuel here. I should probably add some FanDuel to that, thinking about it now. Not that we're going to be doing much more here, but maybe we can find a quick ARB for the boys. Let's see if there's an ARB. PTO's free version, which you should definitely check out, pick the odds app, has caps on ARBs to 2%, which is more than fair for a free offering. But you could, like I've talked about this on stream all the time, you could pay for your first month in PTO just using it for free for a week. And then you can pay for your first month that you paid for with ARBs in 24 hours to 48 hours. So then the rest is just gravy. But so BOL and Novig here with some decent liquidity, there is $139 here. Let me pull these up. Let me pull these up. I got it. BOL. What am I looking for? Under 41.5. So I'm guessing that doesn't check out at all then. Because why would under 41.5 be plus 207 if the total is 40.5? So that doesn't add up. Slash is, I'm guessing, wrong. Slash is wrong, unfortunately. Yeah, that's too good to be. Sometimes when they're too good to be true. As you can see, yeah, that's too good to be true. That's every ARB is to that. That's going to show me that right there. So a little bit of an issue there for the PTO. I'll let the team know they're showcasing something that, yeah, I wish there were free $5,000+ here, so I didn't change my screen. But as you can tell, there's something wrong with that ARB there. It's every single book, and it's clearly not available at BOL. So could scroll for hours there. Every variation, there's more than my max that I'm allowed to look at, or I've allowed myself to look at just from BOL there. All right, boys. This has been such a fun stream. I'll go through everything that we bet so far just to confirm. Commies plus 3.5, locked and loaded. SGP, JD5 most passing yards, Jacobs under 77.5 rushing yards, Eckler alt 4+ receptions, Josh Jacobs 2+ receptions, plus 1578. First touchdowns, Matthew Golden 17-1, Bill 14-1. Also, do think it's still worth putting a sprinkle on Jalen Lane first tutty at 80-1, as well as John Bates first tutty 125-1. He plays too many snaps, even though he's got one touchdown in the last 4 years. He's on the field, man. Other bets that we took, straight touchdowns. We took Jalen Lane straight 12-1, Tucker Kraft touchdown, JD5 touchdown, and then we also took Matthew Golden anytime, as well as that actually might be it. Matthew Golden anytime and Bill anytime. So we have a lot of good stuff that we have going on there. A lot of really fun bets. I bet some Tua unders yesterday. I'm curious if I got value there or if it's worth talking about now. DK is not being my friend right now. Oh, I actually lost the yard, so I'm a loser. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I was on stream yesterday. Want to get some better lines there. The Trevor Lawrence that popped up earlier, if you guys were here, was definitely worth taking a look at. Over 12.5 rushing yards at ESPN, minus 110. I was a big fan of that one. But I'm going to wrap up, boys. We have a lot of great stuff today. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, so look out for that. We'll be going over some more plays. We killed it on Monday. We killed it on Sunday. Let's pull that one up quick while we're here. Thing is, this is like bad, probably bad process because It's just because of so much of how Washington is just such not a funnel. They have so many good guys and so many moving parts. Where am I going? Rushing yards. Let's pull up Bill and see what the EV is. Good liquidity on Profit X. Love to hear that. Shout out to Profit X. Great platform. And that's where they're working on their parlay offering. I know that doesn't probably actually, I mean, for parlaying EV legs, everyone here should be interested. But Bill under 38.5. MGM even money. That way, if you have that plus 115, but there is definitely EV here. Let's confirm as well. Though MGM is always pretty solid with that, showcasing the right odds. But there is some EV on this, absolutely. But game starts in 5, boys, and like I said, this is my Christmas. So let me have a little Commies prime time. Have a great one. Best of luck with the bets tonight. Let's hope we hit some bangers. I'll be recapping. I'll be streaming tomorrow. Shout out to everybody in chat and everybody watching. Hit that follow button on Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Twitch. Have a great one.